In this video, I'm going to quickly go through inverses, finding inverse operations, then inverse equations, then how to do that and why that works. So essentially, inverse is the opposite. We get back to starting point, or we get back to unity by doing the opposite. So the opposite, or the inverse of adding 5 is taking away 5. The inverse of times equal to 6 is divided by 6. The inverse of divided by 4 is times it by 4. And the inverse of taking away -7 is -7. Okay, and we can apply this to functions as well, equations. So I've got a couple of equations on the board. Y equals 2x, which is times in by 2. So the inverse of times in by 2 is dividing by 2. So we get x divided by 2, or half x. Both are fine. If you want to write half x, or you want to write x over 2, that's both fine. And the inverse of x plus 1 is x minus 1. Adding 1, taking away 1. These are inverses of each other. Okay, so when it comes to a question, find the inverse of 3x minus 7. This is my method. I take the 3x minus 7, I change the variables, so I get x is 3y minus 7. We'll come back to that in a second. And then I solve. So I add 7 on both sides, I divide 3 on both sides, and I get my new inverse is y equals 7x. X plus 7 over 3. But why this? Well, let's look at the graphs. So here is the graph. The red line is y equals 2x. The black line is y equals half x. And we can see that each of these lines has points on it, right? So some of the points on the red line, which is y equals 2x, are 1, 2, a half 1, 2 4s on there, and basically anything where the y coordinate is 2 bigger than the x coordinate, right? So 3, 6 would be on there as well, 5, 10, etc., etc. Okay, and that's what makes the line. Now let's look at the inverse. What points are on this line? Well, there's this point, which is 2, 1. And there's this point, which is 4, 2. And there's this point, which is 6, 3. And we're starting to notice this line is formed by taking these points and switching the variables. Right? 1, 2 changes to 2, 1, 2, 4 changes to 4, 2. We switch the variables. So that is the reason why we switch the variables and then solve.